Of the South Beach Photo Booth Company. We are based in South Florida, an area that's much like everyone else complains about their own, is also extremely oversaturated and has a lot of stuff going on with it, and we all have our own wonderful challenges. My history within the event industry is about 20 years long. My photo booth company is celebrating its 10-year anniversary this year, so we've been at this for a bit. And I normally get invited to speak about like how to find really cool clients and like how to keep everything extremely high end in a common environment where it's really hard to consider going beyond economical price points and worrying about what your competitors are doing. Balloons high. And to do other stuff like that. So to that end, that's usually what I get called for. But I decided to change it up a little bit because I didn't want anybody who has had an opportunity to see me blabber on previously hear that just over and over again, for it. Although we all need a rally cry every now and then for ourselves with it. But I'm here to talk about something that's even more important and that I can say wholeheartedly throughout the 10-year span of this history of our company has always been one of the greatest challenges, and that is to hire amazing people and to keep amazing people and to also know how to keep getting amazing people throughout the entire time. So again, hi, my name is Meir. I am a Sagittarius. I'm an animal from Miami. I'm here to tell you about some stuff. So as I mentioned, we're going to talk about how to curate a great team, how to just get them part of your brand, your vision, and how to help really just from the very start get them on board with what you need to build and what you're trying to do for yourselves and for your vision. And this one's going to be really acronym heavy, so forgive me on this one. I've broken it down into the word hot, and as in tips. These are hot tips, is what these are for it. And these are going to come in pretty handy for it, and you can kind of build off of this into your own brand how you like for it. Because as we all know, you can't just put a poster board up and say like, oh, I need photo booth attendants. They do not have that listing on hiring sites. You've got to curate everything that you got to do from your own vision, and you got to kind of feel it out. But through a lot of trial and error, and some very recent trial and error as well, we've got some good ideas of how you can kind of improve upon that and so forth. Now, by no means am I saying I'm a masterful expert at this. This is probably one of the most challenging things that you will have with your business today, yesterday, and certainly moving forward. This is always going to be a challenge. You could have started out with an iPad booth and you've got 360s. You could, have a vision for only unattended stuff, for whatever it is. Staffing will always be a challenge, no matter what you do. It's like taxes. It's always lingering in the back of your mind that that's going to happen. You're going to need to do it. So, the first of the acronyms, the H, hiring. Hiring from within is, I'm sure a lot of you do, is one of the best things that you could do for your business and for your team so that you can get the ball rolling ASAP. Your team already knows what's expected of them. They have friends that ask about what they do because working in live events is kind of interesting for what's going on. My team members, on normal Saturday night at a bar mitzvah, Flow Rider might be there. Puff Daddy. It happens, for what it is. And when friends tell friends that, that's like, holy fuck, that happened. And it does. To us, it's just Saturday night. And we know we're in our own little corner making flipbooks or whatever we're doing. But your team members get to tell their friends, and they know who of their friends would be good additions to the job as well. So there's major advantages to hiring from within. The first of which is you've got a really high contention that their qualifiers are really, really high because their friends have told them everything that goes on with it. The highs and the lows of what it is. What you got to do presentation-wise, who you got to be, who you're going to meet, how people are going to be when they've had 2 martinis in that night, and so forth, and how to deal with those folks, and so forth. And then the expectations are also pre-discussed. What me, as the boss, demands of said employees and what they're going to do. So the key factors is, as we point out over here, if you like your team members, there's a solid 70% chance that their friends are going to be pretty on point for who you need. Maybe not an exact clone of that person, but you'll probably find somebody who's going to help out in that way. Secondly, sometimes, because I'm sure we've all noticed, a lot of times the staff that you get within that realm, they're a little on the younger side, so it's a transitional period in their life. You can't always necessarily expect them to stick around with you for a greater than, let's say, 3-year average of sorts, per se. They might also be creating their own replacements. And that's okay too, because you know, moving forward, you're gonna need them at some point, especially if you have any plans for expansion. Sometimes you're gonna have a Tuesday night at a corporate event where it's like 1,200 people and you got 4 booths, and you're like, I got nobody. So hiring from within really helps out because they can also be the beacons for doing so beyond that. Cheddar, motivators, real important to do that. Make it worth your while for your team. Don't make them just be, you know, kind of like the end-all, be-all of indentured servitude. Make it worth our while to do so. What we do at my business is we create a headhunter's fee, but it comes with stipulations. Every time one of my staff members refers a friend, and that friend works with us, once they work past 7 events, the person who referred them gets $100 for having done so. Now, it may seem like a long time, but as I'm sure some of you have experienced, you might have the person come in, and they work 1 or 2 events, they were kind of half there when they were there, now not really present, per se, and it's all an investment. It's an investment paying back into them and your business and so forth. So you do want to say thank you to your team members for doing so, but at the same time, you want to make sure that it's something that really works out, because you are investing more time into training said new individuals and so forth. That's what I've got worked out for my team members. They are very much into that headhunter's fee, and they very much remind me when someone has worked 7 or more events while they're there. Leave room to grow. Don't assume that every team member is going to fit into just that particular mold that you have. You know, it's not just like, I need a host for a photo booth and so forth. Find out about them, talk to them, you know, make them part of your family, find out what skills they have, find out what dreams they have, what goals, and so forth. Most of my team members, if they're not in college, they've got a degree, which means they've, you know, either ached for something else to do in life. A lot of them are people who really love taking photos, or they're in communications, or some of them are educators. And so I try to find whatever their talents are and see how they can help out, and so forth. 2 of my team members are AP high school teachers, one of which has just recently helped us curate our new curriculum for our incoming team members, as well as our new tests to get to different levels of skill sets and so forth. Not a job, just, you know, come in for an afternoon, I'll pay you for, you know, 4 hours or X amount of dollars to do it, because I can't do that. I don't have a degree in teaching, but they can, and they help me to grow. So as important as it is as they refer their friends for team members, they're also, in that particular sense, helping me to train my new incoming folks. Because what the incoming need to know that is key is something that really prepares them for the job ahead, so that they know what is expected of them as they're walking in to those positions for it. Now, hiring from within is the easiest one of all of these for it, but it's probably the most potent, it's the one you'll get the most out of. Now we're going to get to the hard one. Hiring from outside. Now, in this one we're going to get into a really long but very interesting and maybe slightly boring, but then kind of weird process of how my team members and I over the past 1.5 years have done something really interesting with websites like Indeed and so forth. You can use Indeed, you could use any one of them that you feel is good, either geographically in your area or for things all around. Indeed has like the biggest internet presence, so it's really easy for people to see it and do it. But unlike hiring from within, where there's no pre-qualifiers, where you've got to set all the information that people need to know about everything that goes on with it, there's a lot more steps that you need to do to get to those beautiful little nuggets of persons in this gigantic pile of folks that are literally just clicking apply. Like they're not even like reading the whole thing. Some of them are, not all of them for it. So we're gonna go through this one real fast. For the sake of finding your needles in haystacks, 3 very important things to start with are as follows. Introduce your company. This is a great time to get your brand out there. Let them know who you are. If your brand is strictly corporate and it's supposed to reflect that, let them know. Let them know who you serve and what kind of events it is. Let them know what kind of schedule they're going to be going on and so forth. And just let them know what you expect to do so. Some folks are all about, the props and the fun. Some people are all about a very red carpet experience. This is a good time to let people who you're introducing yourselves into know, because the person applying might not even necessarily be the one that they know, but they might refer a friend to your listing as well. That might be kind of the thing, because they might know a friend who's really into photography, or they might have a friend who's really technically minded. That might be a good fit for this job, or they might have a friend who also is in school and their schedule really allows for the kind of events that we do, where it's a little bit more off-kilter, whenever it is. Second thing, do not be shy about posting the pay on the site. Do not be shy about telling them exactly what the pay is going to be, so that they have a firm expectation of what will be reciprocated for their time. Time is very important for what it is. That's what all of our clients pay us for, and that's what you're paying your staff for as well. So do not fear posting the entire schedule if you have it. If you just have one flat fee, pay that, post that. If you've got tiers, post that. Let them know exactly what it is. Do not be shy about that. And also, look for talent. You're going to be asking for a very specific thing, but a lot of the resumes that you're going to see, every now and again, you're going to find somebody who's had some experience in something that maybe you need. All of us as owners, you cannot do everything yourself. If you want to grow at any point in time, you've got to just take your seat at the head of the table and start delegating. So if you find somebody that kind of sounds okay as a photo booth host, but oh look, they did social media for this company for like a year and a half, and I've been a little lackadaisical on my Instagram posts. I've been a little lackadaisical on Instagram. Find those people. Hire those people. Trial basis, little extra stuff every here and then. They'll appreciate it because they've been identified as an individual aside from being part of your group, which they appreciate the most. Now, you're going to get a lot of resumes. Out of all this. And the first thing you want to do when you do get a lot of the resumes, my first rule is go with your gut. If you just see a resume where it's like bartender, 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 yes, they're in the service industry. Me personally, if someone's just only been a bartender, who here has been to a bar in the past 48 hours and been ignored by the bartender for like just that point in time? Like that's just my gut. That just goes, not that one though. But if I see something where it's like lifeguard, worked at a preschool, something where there's like a good variety of responsibility, or like someone who has a lot of technical skill and so forth, that's a person who's going to get a yes or a maybe from me. Now, that doesn't mean I want you to come in for an interview. There's a whole process of this. There's a whole listing available, because if I post something and I get 600 some odd resumes, I don't need 600 staff members. I'm looking for, any given time during a season when we're trying to replenish, 5. I'm looking for 5. That's all I'm looking for. So I'm looking to pay for a listing on Indeed or something like that. It's going to cost me $300 to $600 across a month or 2-month period, and so forth. Now, let's say I find someone who sounds like a maybe or a yes. What am I going to send them in reciprocation? Well, here we go. I'm gonna read this one to you guys because it's really long. Wow. Don't worry, you'll get the slide later. Greetings, candidates. Here at the South Beach Photo Booth Company, we pride ourselves not only on the incredible products and services we offer, but on the energetic and professional staff we have executing our events. To become more acquainted with our new hire prospects, we ask that you read them below and respond with your best answers and interaction. The Sophie Booth's team prides itself on the A-type personalities which we attract, and for a company culture of having each other's backs, and executing the best services and highest quality presentation at the events we are called upon to be a part of. We look forward to hearing back from you, and the best responses will be invited in for a face-to-face interview. Our staff, our event staff traditionally consists of 2 stations, techs and hosts. Hosts are the first persons which guests interact with and are responsible for running the guest experience, taking care of each event's presentation, and ensuring that each session is maintained to the high standards which we set for our products and services. Techs work to support the hosts and our gear on-site in a capacity not unlike tech support and are trained to solve any and all technical issues which may occur. Both these positions are necessary to help execute our amazing products, and we are always on the lookout for the top talent. In order to learn more about our applicants, we ask for the following. We'll stop there for 1 second. Sounds like a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Guess what? You just lost 85% of the people I said yes to, and that's okay. Because, and this is a trick I had learned from Disney Imagineers, by the way, if they ever come to your town and they do the whole seminar and like what they call over-managing, it's expensive, do it. You will learn so much. These are qualifiers. Qualifiers are really important, especially when these people don't know you and you don't know them. So it's a good thing to get a connection with them and so forth. Now, I would hope, again, as I said at the very beginning of my talk here, I am by no means the end all and be all about this. This has just been working really well for us, so I wanted to share it with you guys. I would hope this really gets some people excited too, for it, because if they saw something in the listing that they thought, oh yeah, that's something I could do, that sounds really exciting, for it, this is that. Now, let's get to part 2 of this letter. This is where it gets really weird, but really great for you. Please submit a video to jobs@southbeachphotoboothco.com, and in it, feel free to do any of the 5 of the following. What attracts you to work live events? If you were stuck on a desert island and all of your needs for food and shelter were met, what 2 items would you bring and why? What songs best describe your work ethic? If you were a dessert, what would you be and why? If you had to choose just one superhero power from super strength, super speed, or visibility, which would it be and why? A penguin walks through your door right now wearing a sombrero. What does he say and why is he there? How would you convince someone to do something that they didn't want to do? Would you rather fight one, this is my staff's favorite one that people answer. Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? Let's take a real quick vote. One horse-sized duck, raise your hand please. 100 duck-sized horses. Yeah, some people just don't know how to answer. The answer is 100 duck-sized horses, because they're smaller and, ducks are vicious. It's true. And the last one, of course, show us the talent that you have. Sing, dance, do a magic trick, and then what was your best MacGyver moment? Why are we asking them these things? They can answer any 5 of those, for what it is, for it. Now, let me get down to the nitty-gritty here of why we're asking them to do this stuff. And it actually goes back to even before these questions. We're asking them to make a video. We all know, doing live events, you are just thrown in front of strangers. That's the first thing I gotta know. Are you okay just being out there, doing it? I'm not expecting a Broadway musical out of a video here, but I am expecting something, a hello. Yeah, exactly, just that. I don't want the opposite where when you're in a theme park with your family and someone's on FaceTime really loudly. I'm not looking for that person for it. Just ruins my theme park experience. I'm sorry, I go to Orlando a lot. Anyway, getting off track here. First things first, in what we're asking them. We're asking them to send us a video. They have to figure out how to send a video. Yeah, so, first thing. Someone's got to make the video for themselves and then send it. Okay, that's the first qualifier, because I can tell you, hey guys, you just put that up there. Zach and Steve also invading the talk, don't mind them. Thanks, okay. That's fine. Thank you. It's never here. Not here, guys. We've got many people who just kind of email us back and they just kind of say, hey, I tried to send the video, but it didn't send. Any advice? No response. We just don't even email them back, for what it is. I know that sounds rude, but they just failed the first test. Guys, how many of us have had Windows just fuck us over one day? That person's not gonna help you. All right, that's one. All right, now, the other parts about all of these questions, for it. You kind of want to get like somebody's mindset, for it, or how they present themselves and what they do, and so forth. We had one person respond back recently where they didn't even like read through this. They just knew I need to send a video, and like they're reading the questions as they're recording the video. Number two, that teaches you preparedness. So if you're not even going to read what I'm sending you, that means when I send you all the shift information for the job, you're not going to read that either. So you're going to get lost parking, you're going to lose the contact's number, the whole thing. Every step of this, it seems so silly, right? Like all those questions, horse-sized duck, who needs that? But all of this stuff really tells you everything you need to know. Okay, third thing about a video, presentation, all right? We got a lot of videos of people's in their cars, and that's okay, all right? But still, is your car dirty? I don't know, whatever. Everything says a little bit about what you do. Presentation is the key because, for us, every event is like black tie or like a Fortune 500 company. We just gotta know, like, can you show up and just be okay? Like, I don't need you to do anything. I just need you to. That's it. That's all I need for it. And then the fourth and most important thing is personality. And you learn the personality not only from the questions they answer, but the responses that they give, and so forth. And if somebody passes all of that, then they get invited in for an interview, and so forth. They still don't have the job yet, by the way. I'm going to tell you a funny story about this one in a second. Let's watch a video, and I want you guys to give me a vote on whether you think I hired it or not. I don't know if this has audio. I hope it does.
Hi, Chris. I'd like to submit my video with 5 questions. I'm really grateful that you guys get back to me so quickly. Thank you so much for that. For my first study booth question, I'd like to pick what attracts you to work live events. Let's see, I already work for a company that does a lot of weddings and like pop-up shops and like a day in the life videos for athletes and stuff like that. So I'm already in it. I already do putting situations where it's like everything's on a schedule, nothing can go wrong. The backup has a backup. It's like rapid fire, everything's practice, so everyone knows what to do. And live events, you get to travel, you get to meet a lot of people, you learn. You do much else other than making mistakes when you're constantly doing something different every day.
What's that for there? So the things I hired Chris.
No, so.
Really?
I
Chris is now working in my studio. Chris also knows jujitsu. That's later in the video, you'll see that. Yeah, I know, and that's the thing, again, first rule, go with your gut, for what it is. Because, yeah, what did I just say? Like, he read off the thing while he's recording his video, right? First thing and so forth. We make mistakes. Well, you almost can't pay enough for people who makes mistakes, for what it is. Chris is an event captain. He shot up through the ranks with everything that he does and he knows. He's got camera experience. He's super friendly. He's very welcoming to guests, and so forth. He just broke an iPad, though. It was an older iPad. It's okay. If he breaks another one, we're gonna have to talk. But the thing is, to that point, there's always going to be an ebb and flow to everything. Perfection never really happens in live events, and even Chris breaking an iPad is like a lesson in itself. He knows now to be a little more careful and conscious, as we go through it, and so forth. So you got to take a leap of faith sometimes too. Other times you think everything's going really, really well. I'll tell you what happened last week. This is so fresh in our minds. We don't understand this one at all. We interviewed somebody, went through the whole email. This person's listings for all of their experience, as well as some other talents they had, were just oh, that's cool. They did social media for this company, and oh, that's cool. They've run live events before. They've got some BA work, and oh, that's cool. They work for a company that's done video, so they've got to have something around it. Their video was good, etc. We invited them in. Really great interview, and so forth. The only red flag that my operations manager, who's the one that runs the interviews, was when he was going over with this person the rate of schedule, meaning you start an assistant pay for X amount of events, and then you could get to host pay, and then from there you can learn to be an event captain and so forth and get more pay. Kind of argued that, oh no, but the event pay says X amount of dollars. You're like, well, again, the listing still says like, it's a curve, like you get to that point, experience-wise. Not a big deal, right? We're still super stoked about the whole thing. We have like 4 interviews that week, for it. Come one day later, my operations manager gets an email that says, hey, Sean, I see the position is still open, you're still looking for some other people. Good luck with that, thanks for the opportunity. We're like, what? So sometimes the lesson about who's good for you doesn't come till actually after the interview as well. For that, so you got to make it a longer process as well. Don't just like, oh, you're really cool, this is a great interview. Hey, are you free Saturday? Can you work? No, also to like give it like a little bit of time and see how they react to you as well as you reacting to them, for it too. Because not everybody's perfect, and you'll find that out very soon as well. Okay, and this last one, guys, I am not good at this. I am terrible at this, but it's still very important to do. The T part of HOT. Talk. And that means like out in the wild. I did do this once about 6 months ago for it. My dear friend Meir in the back counseled me on the better way to do it. I was in my favorite Office Depot, and by favorite I mean the one that gives us the least amount of trouble. And I was just getting some covers printed up for a Flipbooks event that we had that week. And I had encountered someone behind the counter who was so amazing at their job and so friendly and so on the ball technically, as well as just being so good, communication-wise for it. I just sat there like in awe, just running dialogue in my head, like how do I approach this person the right way? Like how do I hand over my card? Like what am I supposed to do to talk to this person? To really get them on board with what I do, because I think they would be so great at what this is, because all my other experiences at that store were just like, someone doesn't know how the printer works. They take forever with somebody trying to get them a fax, for some reason. And they were just so wonderful and efficient and so forth. It was just like so great. So meeting people like out and about is really good too. Like if you're just having a great service with like a server, try to just like get in that conversation about like, hey, how long you been working here? Like, is this your only job, etc. What do you like to do? But that's the hard part right there, making it authentic and not like creepy. Don't just like run up on people, because if you go like it doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing or who you're approaching. Like if you're just like, hey, you're great. Hey, do you want a job? Hey. Yeah, exactly. We all have. It's weird. That's actually the weird part, not the previous part with with email and stuff like that. So keep it authentic, when you do it. Try to come at them from an even keel, not just like, I'm this crazy boss, I've got like 35 employees, you should be one of them, and so forth. And find out about them. Find common ground, find things that might work out, for what it is. Whether it is somebody who's just like really good taking selfies, that just might be the next person that you've got going on, for it. Because as you grow into your business, maybe this is my cynicism talking, please forgive me. 10 years in, there's a lot of stuff I don't want to do. Like there's a lot of products out there. And I'm gonna curse again, guys, I'm sorry, third time's a charm, last one, I fucking hate them. Because I don't want to personally go out and do it. And I also don't have the time to do it as well. Something like, this could be very controversial if this gets out to the rest of the world, something like a ring roamer. Now I love these things if done well. I personally cannot do that. I just don't wanna. But I've got some staff members that are just all about it. They just love like running up on people. They love, like when I get a new one like this, Ninja Cat, Sensei, on it, and they're just gonna do it, and they're just gonna go, for what it is, and that's gonna help you, for it, because it doesn't matter what I as an owner don't like about this. All I've got to do as an owner, I've got to like the contract, and if I'm okay with the contract, and I've got a staff member that's okay with the rest, we're all winning. My client's winning, they're winning, I'm winning, we're all winning. But yeah, find common ground and find things that really connect you to those people, out. This one might be a little more like, you gotta have your own talent for it, but if you can do it, or if you just like find the right little niche to do it in, it really sets you apart. Now, with all that in mind, it really helps to, once you have these folks, to really have a plan in place for their progression. Now, I spoke about the timeline of where we go from assistants to regular event staff hosts. You gotta always give people something to look forward to and to work towards as well, and to want to grow. Assistants get like, on average, like about $15 an hour, to start out with, because they're green, like they're just coming out to it and so forth. And we try not to use and abuse them for their like first 3 to 5 events for what they're doing. It's not like, oh, by the way, this job's an hour away, you gotta drive it on your own. For it's like, oh, you're in Miami, this thing's like down the street from you, like why don't you go to that one and help us out? Because sometimes you just need like a body at an iPad, right? Like you just need people reciting the same 4 phrases over and over, hey, do you want to email it, do you want to text it, and then if they stick it out, because we've all experienced where some folks are just like, yeah, that's great, I'm really excited to work for you. And then like 2 days later, it's like, hey, any jobs? And you're like, oh yeah, we got 3 in the next month. And then it seems like they just took their phone after they asked you that question, threw it across the room, and just like never answered you back, right? They were so eager, and you're just like, where'd they go? So it's an investment on both sets of time. It's an investment in your time as well as their time, for that. So don't just be like, I've got $25 an hour, let's do this. Like you're not necessarily always going to get people that's going to appreciate what's doing it for that. From the assistants, then we get to hosts and also techs, but techs are kind of like more into event captains. The event hosts are like your traditional, experienced team members, where they know the routine, they know the product that they're doing, they know the common ins and outs of whatever they're hosting and so forth. They can talk a stranger through doing a GIF. They're really good at motivating them, into doing something really cool. And then we have further steps to get to a place where you're an event captain. Event captain's currently, in our situation, the top tier of pay, but it's also the one that comes with additional hours of just getting equipment to and fro and so forth. So they're still getting even more of that in payment as well for their time for it. And then theoretically beyond that, our goal is to grow. Our goal is to take those people who are out there in the wild, out there at the events, and just build a company. So for every one staff member that I have in-house, I hopefully have 7 more that are just the part-timers. So if I've gained 7 more part-timers, that means I probably need 1 more person in-house to help manage them and what they're doing and the events and so forth. So plan for growth. It might seem really ridiculous right now to give somebody a $30,000 to $50,000 salary or whatever, based upon whatever you may or may not be, making. Take a leap. You'd be surprised. Like if right now you're overwhelmed by the amount of work that you're doing, 2 pieces of advice. Raise your prices 20%, see if it sticks around. And if it does, hire someone, for it. And if not, if you don't do the 20% thing, still consider hiring someone, no matter what, because either way you're going to get to more business wealth for it, because you can't get bigger, you can't make more money without an expansion on that. I could talk for 3 more hours on the rest of this, but this is my last other piece of advice for that. You gotta set them up for success beyond that. You gotta keep in touch with them in the best way possible. We use, and there's several out there, some of them are built into CRMs, some of them are on their own. We use a service called Humanity. Humanity is one of those shift type services where every time either myself or my other VP of sales make an event, like we sold it, it's gone contract, it's now going to go on the calendar. This goes on our service straight out to Humanity, where now the staff members are completely open to see it, take it, and apply for it if need be. Now, 4 things are still happening in that for it. Number 1, there are different staff positions based upon someone's experience. So if I only need somebody who is an event captain doing it, not just like my regular assistants, the assistants aren't going to see it. So they can't apply for it, and I've got to let them down, like, oh, hey, sorry, you're not really experienced enough, for that, so you can't do it. But equally so, I also don't have to spend, or my team doesn't have to spend 4 hours getting to all my staff members and be like, hey, we got a job next Saturday, you want to do it? Hey, we got a job next Tuesday, you want to do it? Hey, we got a job next day. And then they email you, they text you back, okay, where is it? What time? And again, phone across the room. No answer back. This way, it basically sends push notifications through the app to all the staff members. It's $50 a month for something like this. If you got 20 or below staff members, $50 might seem like a lot until you realize how much time are you actually investing into texting back all your staff members, finding out who wants to actually do the job, putting in all the updated information, giving them all the stuff, popping files on those things, sending them a map of where they need to go, giving them information about parking, all that stuff. Is it worth $10 an hour of your own time? Easy thing to invest in. Super, super easy thing to invest in. So look up one of those for yourselves and consider that. Because once you got that going on, you got a nice, successful team who's out there helping you do. Come on, slideshow. Super cool things. There we go. With stuff like that for it. Not really, come on, slideshow. This is supposed to be super cool, guys. I'm sorry. There it is. Okay, great. And it's great to just be able to celebrate who you've got and what they're doing with you, because every time you train team members to just be excellent, they help you just elevate everything that you've got going on for it. Ever since I took on my VP of Sales, my operations manager, and now my operations manager and assistant, we just get bigger. And it's been really, really great for us for that. Okay, Q&A time! I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Please, questions? Anybody? Yes?
With your full-time employees, do you do commissions, or is it a flat wage that you give them, or how did you manage that full-time position? That's
a great question. If we're talking about sales positions, commissions like one of those, you got to feel it out for it. With my team members, for sales, I did a larger salary and a smaller commission. Because if I gave them a bigger commission, that's all well and good, but the infrequency I felt at which that they would get it would not be something that sustains them in the job. So it was actually kind of a big negotiating factor, for it. They saw it as the opposite way for that. When in sales positions, it's usually like very minimal salaries and then like really big commissions in doing so. I'd rather go the opposite way. I'd rather like keep you along and then find other things for you to do while you're there, like help out with the marketing, going out and doing networking and so forth and creating other relationships so that when those jobs come in, we can concentrate on things that are maybe bigger rather than just like a lot of little jobs that come in. Let's aim for the things that are like 2,000, 5,000 and above rather than like 12 $800 events as well. This way we just get to concentrate on all of the bigger things for that. Operations is just like a straight up like, hey, here's your salary. I will follow up with that one though. My operations team are also still event staff team. Now I try not to overwork them. I try to keep them to 40 hours a week. It's hard sometimes when you have like a lot of events that end at like 1 o'clock in the morning in Miami Beach. But the twist there is they went from the event staff pay to just their hourly rate for the studio. So the balance is now they've got like a steady work job no matter what. But like when they work events, it's, they're paid a little bit less than what they normally would, but they're being paid for like a longer amount of time overall with everything. Because the people that work events, like they're stopping everything they're doing, coming out for you. Whereas your team that works in-house, they're ready, it's just a more seamless part of their day. And so that works. That's how I do it. You don't have to do it that way. For it, if you can afford to pay somebody exactly what they're paying for an event rate per hour, all that, I want to hear from you. I want to find out what you're doing, to get it right. Because when you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, for it. But that's one way to do it, and that's how we do it. Yes, please.
You pay by the hour or by the gig?
We pay by the hour because, well, let me answer that in two ways. There are minimums that people get paid for an event. So at the very, very least, someone's going to get paid for a 5-hour event because there's many corporate events that we do where the operational time is 2 hours. And you might not be doing something too complicated, So the normal 90-minute preset and like the 30-minute breakdown, we're still not within 5 hours, and I've got to make it worth our while. So both ways. They get paid for a minimum of 5, but like there's plenty of times where we've got to come in and set up 3 hours beforehand for no good reason other than that we were asked to, and we can bill them for it. So why not? So in that case, yeah, we do pay by the hour, because there's some times where you're doing it for the entire day, and so forth. Travel weeks are like a whole, other thing as well for it. So it's a mismatch of some stuff. Yes, Jesse. Hi.
Backup. So I'm curious if you, and I'm sorry if I missed this, I'm trying to take notes.
No, go ahead.
Do you schedule someone to be a backup for every single event? And if you do you hear, how do you work out reserving that time? I had the first time where all my staff were out and I had to work an event, and I have 6 1099 people.
Mm-hmm.
And I have backups and backups that call out.
Theoretically, I'm the backup. And
Right.
other theoretically, my VP of sales, who's now in her position, she's the backup too.
Okay.
For it. Growth will hopefully get you to that place. It doesn't work all the time. When I get back to South Florida, we've got 3 major events going on Saturday. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot of 3. Woo! But those 3 events are super high-end, stuff. One of them is a gigantic Rubik's Cube photo booth that takes 2 of my very large dudes, to get in. And they're doing it in the middle of the Wynwood district, which is the super bougie, hipster, graffiti-like area. They gotta roll it on the street. They're on their own. The big mitzvah that we're doing, I've gotta do one of the 3 photo ops that are there. So while theoretically that's what we've worked towards, that's the whole point of this talk. Staffing is always gonna be one of the most difficult parts. If you can afford to just always have somebody on salary to do so, you're doing so good. For saying I've got somebody who will go ahead and be there, for that all the time, for it, that's kind of the difficult, one to do, with it overall. The staffing app helps because people can kind of put down in their schedule when they're not available, so they can kind of make it easy for you to not bug them. When you just know it's just not going to happen. You're still going to need to reach out to people. It's not, the app's not perfect. Technology doesn't really do the thing, all the time. So I hope if somebody ever finds that solution, man, next time you see me, let me know what you're doing, for it. Because scheduling is still going to be a challenge.
Do you bonus them if you do call, bug one of your staff and there's an emergency and they come in day of, you pay?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you mind me asking, what is an...
at least an additional 2 hours, of their time to do so, for watching and like that. There's a question in the back?
Yes.
Yeah.
What was that staffing app that you said?
Humanity.
Humanity?
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
How do you handle travel? I've gone with the catering standard in my area, which is up to 30 minutes. It's on them. It's like getting to your job. Anything over that, they get paid their regular rate for. Is that?
We do the same, yeah. We do the same. And you'll find that, especially when you start using technology, like those scheduling apps, people are going to really start to center focus on if something's nearby to them, rather than if something's further away. You got to kind of use your charms to get them for something that's really far when you really need them. But we're technically centrally located in Fort Lauderdale. And South Florida is very interesting because it's flat and everything's got a highway. You have no problem usually working between Dade County, which is Miami, Broward County, which is all the Fort Lauderdale area, and Palm Beach. And because of who we cater to, we're a lot more in the 2 opposite areas. So it's a minimum 45 to an hour and 15 to drive. So with that in mind, we charge a client accordingly for set and strike, which is something that photo boothers don't do, by the way. Everyone else in the industry charges set and strike. Does anybody here charge set and strike?
What is it?
Exactly, and that's the problem.
Are you saying it's a separate?
Yeah, separate fees for delivery, yeah. So we do it to help supplement. But sorry, to go back to your question, if a client was doing something in Palm Beach, which is a minimum hour drive for my staff members, they're getting paid an additional hour at the very least. For
An hour, not just 30 minutes over and above.
Yeah, because it's I'm putting an extra 30 minutes on their 2, and probably they're from, even though if they're not rolling with my equipment and bringing it back, I'm really not responsible for what they do afterwards. Right. They could go to Orlando, whatever.
But you're doing 30 each way. Right?
Yeah.
what's the distance? I'm just curious.
Oh, mileage-wise? Oh, I mean, if you're talking the most southern part of Dade County that we probably work in versus like the most northern part, 150-mile difference, probably.
I'm thinking Los Angeles, you're talking hours, and I live in Los Angeles.
Right, yeah. Traffic is a whole different thing. Yeah, traffic is a whole different thing for it, but you know, it could go either way for it overall with all that. I don't want to take up too much time with my good friend Paul's time back there. Anyone else have any questions? So, yes, please.
You know, I love that you broke your stuff into like full-time employment. That's something I'm really excited for. Could you walk me through, so the bench assistant is probably like 5 events a day, maybe $15 a month. Could you walk me through the other ones? So the event hosts, like typically, how many events do they have?
There are standards and practices that we have for it, and you can bend your own standards and practices. So, like, let's say an assistant is like 5 events there at the assistant pay, and then for a host, you know, to get to the host pay, they've got to do at least 5 of those events, and then after they've worked, let's say arbitrarily like 10 events as a host, they can start taking the test for trainings and, you know, the actual written exam that we have. Well, it's online. For getting to a captain status for that. Now, that doesn't mean that that's true. There are plenty of people where they've either accommodated us very quickly for being part of the staff and they were just amazing on site, and it's just like, next job, you're a host, that's it. You know, like, because it's just, you just get a gut feeling and you just know who it is and what they're going to do. But equally so, sometimes you just want to really stick to your schedule. A great phrase that I learned from my friends over at LA Photo Party, hire slow, fire fast. Because, you know, you got it, it's a learning process. You're not hiring these folks like Monday through Friday, where you just know like within a week if it's gonna work out. You're gonna see them maybe 3 times in a month. That's what you're gonna see, you know, for it. And it's very hard because you can kind of get suckered into other stuff that a lot of people kind of know, like brand ambassadors. You're like, oh, you know, I'm a brand ambassador. Like, you know, I've worked with all these brands and so forth. And brand ambassadors are like weird sometimes. Cheryl will back me up on that one, because Cheryl like all national brands use a lot of them sometimes. When they don't have an investment in your company or with working for you like a long term, their loyalties and their attention just kind of go a little hayward. But some folks are just like really like all about it, you know, for what it is. You get a feel for it. Like some folks, and not to blow smoke in the room, some folks when they go do an event and, you know, it's like Snoop Dogg is there as a DJ at a bar mitzvah. You know, some people who work, I know, it's crazy to sound. Again, I just call it Saturday. Some folks that we hire, they're just like, they can't do their job because they're just so like, I'm in the same room as Snoop Dogg, and they're like busting out their phone and like photographing, and it's like, hey, we've got 13-year-olds we gotta take care of over here, like, let's do this first. Whereas other ones are just like, that's how it is like all the time? We're like, yeah. Okay. And those are the folks that we're looking for. So you can break your own rules, you know. It does help to have everything written out so that they know like what it is. So that if you need to refer back to somebody who's like, well, they're an event captain already, it's like, yeah, that's my discretion as the owner. I can do that because I like their skill set. I like what they represent. Versus like, I think you're gonna be a great asset. I think we just need to train you a little bit more. And again, they're gonna tell you if they think you're the right fit, because some people don't necessarily think that you're a good investment in their time. And again, that's okay. You're looking for your 5 out of 45. That's what you're looking for when you're doing stuff. I hope this helps greatly with everybody. Again, thank you all for having me. I'll be outside if anybody else wants to.